Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a very long time since I've last filmed, and I'm so sorry if um the audio quality is really bad. That's because I have misplaced the cord for my microphone, and I also don't have my light anymore. So all I have is a tripod and a dream right now, so I really appreciate it if you guys would just excuse the audio quality. It's really bad, and I'm going to try and speak loudly and closely to the camera. But welcome to this video. It is a little bit of a different one in the sense that I have not filmed anything like this before, where I just kind of open up a little bit, and it's not something that's easy to do, but for some reason it does feel easier to open up to strangers than it does to the people close to you. That might be something to work through in therapy, but that's just the reality of the situation at the moment. So yes, I made notes yesterday. I have like 2 pages worth of notes that I want to talk about because I want to keep things in chronological order and make it make sense. So as you can see by the title, the video is called 20s, Lost and Lonely, which very much describes a situation that me and, from what I can assume, many people my age are probably going through. And I think that a lot of it stems from the idea of being on what may be considered an acceptable path for your life, right? Acceptable path. And that path being school, uni, work, and then you post grad, and then you get married, and then you have a kid, then you have a house, then you have another kid, and then that seems to be the acceptable path, and that seems to be the path that I see myself getting pushed on, and I see everyone that's my age around me also feeling the same pressures to be on that acceptable path. And kind of hand in hand, I feel like there's this huge expectation to have these huge dreams and these huge aspirations, and the reality is that we can't even catch a break to figure it out. We literally, I don't know about you, but for me, I've been studying my entire life. I feel as though I have no room to breathe. I feel like I don't have a room to breathe right now. I don't, like, just to take a second and be like, okay, this is life. This is actually my life. And I need to figure out what it is I actually want to do with my life, not just blindly walk down this acceptable path. And I had a moment a couple of days ago, and I journaled about it, and I came to this quite terrifying realization that I don't even know what my favorite color is. Might seem mundane or childish in hindsight, but it's not childish though, is it? Because if you asked a child what their favorite color was, they would always have an answer for you. And they may not be able to explain it, but why do you need to explain your favorite color, right? It's just a favorite color, but you know that about yourself, and you know that, okay, that is my favorite color. And if you're presented with 2 things of different colors, you're gonna go towards your favorite color. Kids even pick ice cream based off their favorite color. So having a favorite color, I mean, I'm sure I have a favorite color, but I don't know what my favorite color is, right? And it's so weird, but I think that having a favorite color almost signifies that I know what I'm doing, because when I did have a favorite color, I did feel like I had some sort of a path, and as I fell off that path, or I got off track of that path, so did my favorite color. And I'm not trying to place some sort of, metaphorical meaning upon a favorite color, but it's a realization that I had. And a moment that I had recently, a few months ago, is a friend of mine got married, and she's older. She's a couple of years older than me, a good few years older than me. But she got married, and it the wedding was beautiful. I was looking forward to it for a year or so. But what happened was my ex was at the wedding, because we were all part of a mutual friend group, right? And it was raining that day, so we all had to stand under this shelter. They moved the ceremony to a more sheltered area, and we had to stand under this shelter, and he was next to me where we were standing, and it's an emotional time. I felt myself feel very teary-eyed and extremely reflective about the fact that I was standing at a wedding with a person who had previously told me that they very much had plans to marry me. Mind you, I am way too young for that, and it's part of the reason that really terrified me in that relationship. But it kind of, I realized that there are key points in my life leading up to today where I have chosen to stray off the acceptable path. Because the acceptable path is very much accessible to me. It always has been. It's been accessible to me, and I think for everyone, it's probably the easiest path. We just don't realize it because half the time we spend fighting against it and rebelling against it. But the path was there, right? Similarly, when I was in university, there was an easy path that I could have taken. Courses that I got accepted into, but no, I chose to do the one that I knew was going to be the trickiest to get into. I couldn't tell you why, right? Sometimes you don't need huge, grand reasoning for your decision. Sometimes it's a decision, right? And decisions can be made of gut feelings, which I'm realizing that I make a lot of decisions based off gut feelings, and it lands me in a lot of confusing and complicated situations that I'm then forced to deal with. It's all part of life, right? So then another point in my recent times is starting my master's degree. So I started my master's degree about 3 weeks ago. There's a lot of complications in that situation and with that situation that I don't have the mental capacity to even delve into right now. Don't think that I ever will have the mental capacity for that. But anyway, I started it, and almost instantaneously I realized I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. It threw me into an actual spiral, and it's a bit worrying to me because this is the exact same feeling that I had when I started my undergrad in a different degree to the one that I ended up completing. So that feeling was worrying. I just had this feeling that I had no idea what I was doing with my life, and I think a lot of disappointment came from the fact that, I'm not 20, I am in my 20s, and I feel like there's getting less of an opportunity for me to make mistakes and to change my mind. And it took me about 2 weeks to even admit that I was really struggling with this master's degree. Not academically, right? It's more that I was struggling with every other aspect of it. What it meant what I was doing, where I was going with it, why I was doing it. Like it just all kind of piled onto me, and I just, when I expressed this to my family, because realistically, this episode or this video is called Lost and Lonely, and part of being lonely is that you don't really have that many people to rely on. And my family is not necessarily a safe space for me. They're not a safe space for me, but we're very close knit, which contradictory in theory, but it works. It's dysfunctional, but it works to some degree. And at the end of the day, academic wise, they know what they're doing. Academically, they've helped me to be where I am. that's another thing that I have to delve into, but not today. But I think expressing it to them made the most sense, because at the end of the day, they love me, right? So that's, but they're also Asian, so they can't help it sometimes, but to be Asian, it may seem like I'm perpetuating stereotypes onto them, but they are not the exception, they are the rule. And there's just this disappointment from your family when you admit you're struggling in Asian households, or in my very Southeast Asian household. Yeah, you feel like a failure. You feel like, because to me, I grew up in a Western society, and I think we're taught from a young age that struggling is not a bad thing. You know, inherently, to admit you're struggling takes a lot more bravery than it does to kind of stay quiet and keep going. So I admitted that I was struggling. And I think I had to do it for myself, right? I think I needed to do that for myself. And I just felt a lot of regret immediately after I opened up to them about this. And it felt as if I was not allowed to feel lost, which is a huge thing about feeling lost, right? You already feel lost. And then on top of it, if you have these external influences that are making you feel you're not allowed to feel lost, it's just, it carries into the fire. It is salt on the wound, and it made me completely retreat for a whole day. The day after that, I literally the day after I opened up to them, I went to work, and then after work I was supposed to come home, but I ghosted everyone, and I did this thing that I do, which, lost and lonely, that's exactly what I was that day. It's this thing that that day, it was like 2 days ago. It's a thing that I do where if you think about like a hermit crab or a turtle, or you know what, a centipede, when you touch them, they just recoil, right? That's exactly what I did. I recoiled so far internally. I didn't speak to anyone. I just took myself to a cafe, sat down, and I journaled with my headphones in, read my book. I was really, am still, I would say, at this low point, because it doesn't just go away. And I do feel more lost and lonely than I have ever in my life. But it also, I feel like this lost feeling comes as well from the fact that a lot of dreams and aspirations are not deemed acceptable in society, or at least in the society that I am a part of and have grown up in that bubble. Ever since I was a kid, I was really a kid that was full of life. And contrary to my extremely raspy voice this morning, because I think I have allergies or I'm getting sick, I have always enjoyed singing, and singing has always been a thing that has been very cathartic and therapeutic for me. and my whole life I've been singing. I've just never stopped. It's something that genuinely makes me happy. It also makes me sad and angry and frustrated, and it brings out all the emotions for me. And music is something that, it's a path that I was never given much option in, and yet I just knew what I wanted. And I wish that I could have 10% of that version of me, from 10, no, 12 years ago, where I knew what I wanted and I just would not stop at anything to get it. Didn't have any opportunities in music. I didn't go to music lessons. I didn't go to singing classes, but I would audition for every single thing that I could possibly audition for. And I would get the roles, and I think a lot of it is purely because I was extremely confident about it. And my parents would show up to the concerts and they would be proud, but they never thought about how they could fester and let that love for music grow. I'm not saying that I want to be a singer or a pop star, but I think deep down, I have these dreams that, or I've always had these dreams that are just not deemed acceptable ever. And I think very quickly I learned that giving the answer, singer or celebrity, when I was asked what do you want to be when you grow up, would not fly with the adults. And so I started saying teacher, and I realized that the reaction that I got out of them from saying that was a lot more positive. So anything to please the adults, and so I would just say teacher for everything, and people were like, she's gonna be a teacher, she's gonna be a great teacher. Like, teaching is a calling in which I do not have. And I think the one thing that I did carry all the way from being that kid is delusionalism. And I'm so delusional to the point that even now I just have this feeling that, like, technically anything is possible. Technically I could receive a letter from Hogwarts even in my 20s. Like, technically unicorns do exist. Technically vampires do exist. And like, that's just the surface. I can't even verbalize some of the things that I'm delusional about. But the funny thing is, it's gotten me places in my life. Being delusional has given me a sense of, I think that I could probably do this. Like, I don't have faith in myself, but I have faith in the delusion that I have. It's very much a fake it till you make it kind of situation, except for right now I'm not making it because I literally don't know what I'm trying to fake. But the only thing is, being delusional generally leads to not having friends, or having very, very, very little friends. I think I have one good friend who I'm currently long distance with, or have been for the past 4 years, which has been hell. So yes, I have one very good friend. At this point, she's like a sister to me. I think we're stuck with each other for the rest of our lives because it's just been that long. It's been like 10 years. I have acquaintances, but I find that I would much rather be in my own company or by myself than be in the company of people who do not build me up or satisfy me in the sense of fulfill me. And the thing is, people will keep disappointing you, right? And people do keep disappointing me. They just keep doing it. They're just again and again and again and again. And I'm way too comfortable being alone and by myself to really care. Like, if you want to be rude or, betray my trust or act disloyal or anything, go ahead. literally go ahead because I don't care. Like, I'm friends with you because it's nice to have friends, but I'm not friends with you because I need you. That's that's a mindset that probably is running me into the ground, because inherently we are people and people need to be around other people. Um, but yeah, I just don't have this desire to be, have these friends right now. And maybe it's just because I've gotten so used to being not friendless, but generally not having that many people in my life. Um, but yeah, fear. I think I have a lot of fear as well, and it's a realization that I came to the other day when I was journaling. That fear has governed my life for my whole life. It's always been the fear of judgment, the fear of failure, the fear of not being able to please other people, the fear of not making it, whatever that means, the fear of not being acceptable, the fear of standing out, the fear of blending in, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of making a fool of myself, of embarrassment, of, the one thing is I have never had the fear of death. I have a fear of losing the people that I love, but I don't have the fear of dying. So that goes to show a lot about who I am. But just going back to the friends thing, there's this huge thing on social media and even in real life, I guess, about girlhood and having these big groups of friends and female friendships who they go to Pilates at 5 a.m. and you drink matcha and you go for brunch and you have these cool girl corporate jobs and you drive these beautiful cars and you have the good boyfriend, and I don't know. And they it's just so perpetuated in society. It's such a heavily saturated topic, and there's this one sound on TikTok, and I think it's like, oh, how I love being a girl, and it's like all the girlhood things, right? I love to see it, I love to hear about it, and I think maybe a point in my life I even really aspired to have that in my life, but I fear that will never be me. I just don't really see myself doing that, and maybe that's me limiting myself, but I genuinely just don't. I just, it's not that I don't like people, it's not that I'm repellent against people or people are repellent against me. It's just that I don't know, maybe it's my personality type, and yes, I'm an introvert, but so is the majority of the world's population. So let's stop using that as an excuse for being lonely, because it's not. I Yeah, I don't see myself in that girlhood kind of thing. And I've had experiences, brunch with the girls, and I just end up feeling really drained after that. And I'm like, I'd rather be at home in my PJs, just living it up, right? But the thing is, am I allowed to sit down and complain about being lonely if I'm also acting as a barricade for myself? Like, I don't know. That's a whole nother issue, isn't it? But then again, I say I don't see myself being a part of, this girlhood business, and I don't see myself in a lot of rooms and a lot of situations. Then again, I don't really see myself like in this current point in time. I don't see myself. I don't see myself doing really anything. I wake up in the mornings and I just kind of lay there and I'm like, now what? And I think this is a really call to action kind of thing for me, where I think I need to be more intentional with what I'm doing. And I think that when I say I'm lonely, I think a lot of people can relate to this. It's not lonely in the sense that I don't have people around me, because I'm actually comfortable without people around me. And when I do have people around me, I have people around me. It's more that when you're feeling these feelings and these thoughts, and like, does feel a little bit like the end of the world, you don't have somebody that feels safe. I think that is where that's the space in which I'm dwelling right now. I don't feel safe with anybody, and people have been so disappointing to me in my life that I feel like my safest person right now, and I am a very self-destructive, sabotaging individual. I can't seem to see myself happy. I can't seem to see myself thriving or on the right path, because I will kick myself right off that very quickly. So it's a bit worrying that I am my own safe space and my own safe person. But that also goes to show you the kind of people that I have in my life, right? Yeah, I mean, and then you'd say, okay, so find yourself. What does that even mean? Find yourself. I mean, I would love nothing more than to buy a one-way ticket to Italy and eat gelato every day and look at hot Italian men. But that's not finding myself. It's not eat, pray, love. It's like life is not. What is life? I mean, is it worrying that I don't even know how to find myself? Like, what does that mean? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, finding myself? And like, I'm an individual that needs a lot of alone time. But sometimes even alone time gets drowned out by all of the voices in my head. Because I would say that I'm an individual with anxiety. I don't have anxiety. I just have it sometimes. No, I have it quite often. I have anxiety quite often. Do I want to admit that? Oh, yeah. So, lost, lonely. I'm just at a point where I'm really at a crossroads in my life, and I seem to be at crossroads all the time. When am I going to cross the road? I have no idea. But let's just leave that there, because I'm done with that. I'm at crossroads, and I think I care too much about what my parents think of me, and I'm the furthest thing from a rebellious child. I mean, I was the furthest thing away from a rebellious child. I think I hold some resentment in how I was raised, but that's another topic for another time. But I have issues because of how I was raised, and I mean, they didn't know any better. Really, they brought me to this country and they've given me a great life, so I'm not going to complain. But that's the problem, isn't it? I can't complain. I have to be grateful. I need to account to my parents in every decision that I make, in every situation that I am, in every person that I speak to, and everything that I say, because I don't want to give them a bad reputation or a bad name. And whenever I do something for myself, I'm afraid of how it's going to reflect on them, about if they're going to have to explain to me in, the circle of people that they're friends with, or the society that we live in, the community that we are part of, how are they going to have to explain it to the nosy people? And there's a lot of embarrassment that comes with that for me and for them when I make mistakes. And the past year, I've made a lot of, quite a few. I've made my parents very embarrassed, and it's really hard when you have to juggle your own emotions, your own traumas, your own heartbreak, and then also have to regulate the emotions of everyone else involved. And that's what I've had to do for the past year, with some situations that I've put everyone through. Well, really, it should have only been 2 people a part of that situation, but everyone gets involved. So lost. I'm very lost. Very, 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 very lost right now. So I'm just give myself 24 hours, right? That's what I do. I give myself 24 hours to really grieve. Then I wake up and I put my big girl pants on and I try to solve my problem. It's been about 2 or 3 days and I still can't seem to do it. Yeah. I never I think I'm gonna make a decision, and I'm gonna make a new path for myself that's going to be very scary, because I've told a lot of people a lot of things. I've made it sound like I'm very sure of the path that I want to go down, and I'm really not. And I'm really worried about going back on my word. But the reality of the situation is life changes, and I'm not going to spend $100,000 on a degree doing something that I'm confused about. I want to be 100% sure about it. It's like, how do I tell people that my aspiration in life is just to be rich? It's to have money, it's to have success, it's to have... Yeah, I don't really care how I get there, really. I'm afraid not of failure anymore, but I'm afraid of judgment from my parents and my family. So, because I don't really believe that anyone could actually be happy for me. So, that is all that I have to say today. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to my somewhat coherent rant, and I hope that maybe you found some interest in that. And if you're going through a similar situation, which I'm sure a lot of people are, you've survived 100% of your bad days, maybe by the skin of your teeth, but you still survived. So you can survive this, and it's fine. Stumble through life, because I think at the end of the day, maybe that's what everyone does. Maybe everyone is a little bit unsure, and maybe everyone just kind of stumbles through life till it's our time to be in the ground. And I will look forward to that day when we can all be at peace, because life is anything but peaceful. But let's try to enjoy it while it's here, because I think it can be beautiful and it can be great if we just don't let fear and other people's opinions govern us, because other people will have other motives. We need to figure out our own and make a name for ourselves, and don't put too much pressure on yourself because it's not worth it. Be kind to yourself.